All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to Holt Growers. Right now, we are. Am I in frame? Battery?
No, get back out. There.
All right. So we are going to be putting some planter boxes on the front of our house to spruce it up a little bit, give it a little curbside appeal. If you looked at last week's video, you'll see I put in a rose bush instead of that apple tree that was falling over. And today it is a beautiful middle of April day here in western Pennsylvania. And yes, that is snow falling behind me. Also, you'll probably see some traffic, hear some traffic, so not much I can do about that. So let's talk about these planter boxes. So these planter boxes are 36-inch English Porch trough style planter boxes. They look like this. Okay. You put one of these inserts in it. Thank you. And fill it up with your nice potting soil. You can water them, put whatever plant you want in it. The issue we have right now is we're not sure what plants we're going to put in them because this is on the north side of the house, so it's shaded most of the day. But whatever it is, I'm sure she's going to pick something that's going to be beautiful and look good. So let's get to what these planter boxes are and how to do it. First thing you want to do when you get them, take this thing, throw it off to the side. It's going to get in your way otherwise. Next thing is, you got to put on these brackets. They're pretty simple. 2 screws. Make sure to put the black nuts on the inside. Okay. No adult jokes there. They're nuts. Okay. And pay attention to the top. Now, depending on your rail, you also want to measure your rail. We're going for center. We want these centered on our rail. So I already measured the one behind the camera, and we want to go 77 inches from the outside corner because our stairs are centered. So I'm going to take my chair. There it is. All right, so you do that. Take the tape measure. Come out 77 inches. We're going to make a nice visible mark there, okay? That's going to be the center of our planter box. And for some reason that doesn't look quite right. Let's remeasure this just to make sure. When in doubt, measure twice. My dad, as a carpenter, always said, measure twice, cut once, and if you didn't measure it right either time, measure it a third time. So, 136 divided by 2, what is that? Come on. I got Tori behind the camera here helping me out. 136 divided by 2.
68.
I'm 10 inches off, that's why. 9 inches off. No wonder it doesn't look right. So let's remeasure this to 68 inches. Good thing we measured because they're not quite centered. They're 2 inches off of center our steps, so that's good to know. So we want this one, we don't want that one, so we'll put an X in that. That's going to be the center of our planter box. Now, to find out where our brackets are going to go, we've got outside to outside or inside to inside. Let's do inside to inside at 22 inches, so 11 inches. So now we're going to come over from that mark, 11 inches. That's going to be the inside of our bracket on this side. Come over 11 inches. And that's going to be the inside of that bracket. Okay. Now what we can do is take our planter box, line it up, right there. and right there. That's where we want it. Okay, but we can't just screw it in. The reason is because if we just screw it in right now, the weight of the dirt and the plants are going to cause it to cantilever out and rip our bracket. So, hold on. So Tori's going to hold that right there for me. That's where these come in. Now these L brackets are pretty interesting. They have 2 slide grooves. Okay, you got to figure out on your rail which one is going to work. So they can go this way if you have a skinny rail. That's a screw and a nut. Okay, if you have a skinny rail, but if you hold that, I'm going to zoom in here and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, a skinny rail, you can use this bracket. But if you have a wider rail, you're going to have to use this bracket here, like so. Okay, so what we're going to do is do that, and we're going to anchor that right there by making a mark, and then we can attach our bracket the way it needs to be attached here and go from there. So,
Now you got past the top.
where did that screwdriver go that we just had? There it is. Always keep track of your tools. When in doubt, carry more around. So, what we're going to do,
Hey, you're messing up my hair.
take this off, set up here, and we want the screw going through the bottom, so our nice decorative black nut goes on top and looks nice. This is also going to allow us to have it flush on our rail. We don't want to tighten it too much, and I'll tell you why. It's so we can adjust, see? We want to be able to adjust it. So we want to do that so we can move it in and out for our rail. Now, do the same thing over here. Get our screw and our nut out. We want it tight enough that it's going to hold it, but we can also adjust it. Now, what we're doing,
Is that good?
find out where it's going to be nice and tight for us on our marks. Because once we know that distance, then we're going to tighten them up all the way. So it looks like right there. Huh. So now we'll flip it like so. And tighten them completely. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, we haven't decided what plants we're going to put in these yet, so we're leaving them empty for right now. Also, it's a little cold out, so we know we're going to need some type of flowering plant or greenery that is going to love the shade, because being on the north side of the house in the northern hemisphere, that's going to be problematic getting it a lot of sun. And it only gets a couple hours of sun a day. So, where's the other screws?
That's a screw.
No, that. Yes, but we want a screw to go into there, into here.
They gave us just these.
Huh, interesting. So, there's a slight problem with this particular setup. This is what they gave us. We've got flat screws that screw into these nuts. So if you're going to use this particular brand of planter box, you're going to need to add a screw here. That's going to keep this from coming off, and it's pretty important. So we're going to go ahead and get those screws and be back with you. Alright, so I'm back. I just grabbed a couple screws and some washers because of the screw head being slightly small, smaller than our opening there. So the washer is going to catch that nicely for us. Also, if you look here, this is a planter box that Tori and Xander built for us. We were going to put it up here, but it's too heavy. So we're going to instead paint it with some nice exterior paint and make it more of a landscaping feature out front or in the back. We haven't fully decided, but it will be getting used. It's not going to go to waste. I think they did a good job on it. It's just too heavy for a rail. So take your washer, slide in your screw. Make sure your hole lines up, your box lines up with your mark. And as you can see there, that washer really holds that in place so it doesn't slip off. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Make sure our line is lined up. Try to get it centered on that 2x4 and tighten it. You don't want to over tighten it or you'll strip it out and then it can pull out. So there it is. Now to finish it off, we put our mesh insert in to clean that up, and then when we go to plant our plants in here, we'll put them in. Now, I like berry plants, fruit plants, that kind of greenery. That's why if you look behind me, you can see a plum tree. We also have another plum tree. It's actually why we had the apple tree to start with, because I'm a big fan of edible crops, edible plants. So on the side yard we have asparagus growing, we have rhubarb growing. In the backyard we have a lot of things growing, tons of blueberry bushes. Actually right underneath this planter box we have 3 blueberry bushes that have been there now for about 8 years. So ideally I'd like some type of fruit producing plant here, but at the end of the day this is for aesthetics, not consumption. So I'm going to leave what type of plant gets planted here up to my wife and let her decide. This was her idea. I like it. I think it's going to look real nice. This summer we're going to be pressure washing the deck and getting a new stain on it and cleaning it up and renewing it. So should look pretty good. Gonna close out this video with simply a walk around so you can see this a little better. We do have 2 of them, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with just doing a repeat of this one on the other side. It's the exact same bracket, same system. As you can see, it's right here. Same setup, same marking, same way to do it. Now, if you do decide to put a planter box on your deck, you need to make sure you pay attention to some safety things. One, dirt is heavy. Okay, so that's why this counter bracket is here, and make sure you have that set up well. It is adjustable, but make sure you anchor it properly. If you don't, this is going to fall off over time. It's going to pull out. It's going to rip your board, and you're going to have a lot bigger problem. So make sure you put it in, follow directions. It does come with written directions. At least these do. I'm pretty sure most of them do, or at least should, come with written directions. They're kind of vague, I'm going to be honest. That's why I didn't reference them while doing this. Tools required, but doesn't tell you what kind of tools. The people who wrote these instructions assume you have a basic knowledge of building and how to use screwdrivers, things like that. So this is going to be heavy. I'm not sure, depending on what you put in it, depends on how heavy it's going to be. There's some plants that will thrive in a planter box like this. If it was in full sun, I would say strawberries. Strawberries, the flowers on strawberries are beautiful. Plus, you get to eat the berries. Strawberries in a planter box work really well as long as it's going to be plenty of sunlight. The reason I'm not a fan of strawberries for this particular one is because of our shade. Yes, it's snowing out right now and it's overcasted, but even if it wasn't, this would be in full shade almost all day. We're on the north side of the house and we have a pretty good size overhang. So whatever plant gets put in here, we'll probably do a video on it and let you know why we chose that plant and why we think it's the right choice from an aesthetic viewpoint. But also, we don't want to put a plant in here and then it die because it's not getting enough sun. That's going to look horrible. It's just not going to work well. It's also going to be a waste of time. So if you're going to put a planter's box on the front of your house or anywhere on your property, make sure whatever you plant in it is going to like the sun and the soil that you choose. So that needs to be a good match. With that, this is Timothy Holt with Holt Growers. A special thank you to Tori who helped me do this and put these out, as well as to Dorothy for picking them out. I think they look good, and I'm going to close with get out and grow something today.